you're in the off season of the All Blacks, is that right?
Yep.
How many more months you got until you get into working with the boys?
About 4.5 months.
Oh, okay. So your off season is how long?
Oh, 8 months.
8 months. So
7 months.
essentially, as you pick up and drink from the All Blacks mug, go mate. You work with the All Blacks 4 months a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's about 5 months. Every year's a bit different. And it's our off season. So the athletes are still training and playing, but I'm not working directly with them. So I'll visit them and I'll catch up with them all, but I'm not working directly with them because they're in their club teams. So yeah, they're sort of, we are assembled together as a team for about 5 months of the year. And the other 7 months they're with their clubs. And so I don't necessarily directly work with them, but I'll be sort of in and out and catching up with them.
How about we dive into those 7 months to start with? Can we tell me what you do in those 7 months when you're not with the All Blacks?
Well, first of all, the start of that 7 months, we'd review the previous campaign. So look at what went well, what didn't, hand the players back to their clubs, help program some of the players through their off season. And then it's basically a bit of R&R. And then we sort of start ramping things up, planning for the next season. So we're in the middle of planning at the moment, new coaching group, new management team. So we're pretty full on sort of planning. And it's little things that people wouldn't realize, but we've got flights to South Africa in about, I don't know, 6 months' time. We have to decide when we want to go, how we want to get there, what route we're going to take, and we have to find a plane that can carry us all. So it's all the logistical things of planning the campaign, which happens in that 7 months, because it's all about performance. So every decision is about how do we perform on Saturday. So that's all going on at the moment. Players start playing competitive rugby this weekend, so we'll start watching some games, and coaches will start traveling, and then we'll start monitoring players' form and fitness and health on a weekly basis, and basically get to the point where we pick an All Black team in July and play England.
Do you when you say monitoring the players, how are you as the strength and conditioning coach of the All Blacks for the last 18 years? How are you doing that? Just say everyone that's listening to this, sorry, just so I've got a bank of podcasts to be safe because I've got some other stuff going on. It's February 2024. This will go live in June, I think it is. So Gilly, when you say that monitoring the players, how are you? Are you going to watch games? Are you sitting down with the new coach? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so we basically discuss every player we're interested in weekly. What people are seeing. So if you imagine there's 25 staff in the All Blacks,
Wow.
and not all of them are involved in performance, but you've got 6 coaches, so they'll all be watching games. You got our health and wellbeing team, which I sort of lead, and we'll be watching games. But I don't go to games live. I don't enjoy watching games live because I suppose when I'm working in rugby, I've got the best seat in the house. I'm actually on the field, so
Yeah.
sort of pretty boring when I'm sitting in the stand. But one day I'll do that and have a quiet beer. That'd be good fun. But I think when it comes to monitoring, like they start playing this weekend, I'll have all their stats, all their GPS metrics, everything from each game, and so we can compare, hookers across teams, whether how fast they're running, how far they're running, all that stuff. So we've got loads of data that comes in. So when you say what are we doing, there's a lot of data to go through. So there's a lot of it's about that.
So at the start, I was sort of alluding towards that your work with the All Blacks is for 5 months of the year, but actually it's a full-time gig, mate.
Oh no, it's full time, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's full time, but I just don't work with the athletes one-on-one until July.
Just stepping outside the All Blacks for a moment, do you ever coach individuals, as in the All Blacks say, hey, Nic Gill, you're our strength and conditioning coach and have been for 18 years, but then you say, hey, I've got 7 months where maybe I'm not as busy, or at least you're not on the road. Do individuals ever come to you and say, maybe one player who wants to be an All Black who is not there, they're just gone, you know what, I'm going to put everything to this, I'm going to get Gilly to be on my side, or a CEO or someone? Do you ever work with individuals?
Oh yeah, lots. Yeah, I actually I was pretty nice this morning. I went to the letterbox and there were some hunting and fishing vouchers in the letterbox. So I helped a couple of the All Blacks in the off season. So generally the clubs look after them, but they asked me to look after them this summer. So um, they shouted me some hunting and fishing vouchers to say thank you. But no, I work with all sorts of people. People just wanting to get healthy, people wanting to, row 2 kilometers faster when they're 50. I'm working with the America's Cup sailors at the moment. And I've actually got an online coaching service called Rugby Ready. So I'm coaching athletes all around the world at the moment. So I've got a couple of new signups from the States, which I'm excited about. But yeah, we've got people all around the world that are training within our stable. So that keeps me busy when I'm not actually coaching All Blacks. So I never stop doing it. I think it's important to keep trying and experimenting with things with other people and athletes, so that when you get to the All Blacks, everything you do isn't an experiment at that level. It's actually tried and true. You've tested it out, you've tested ideas out, you've got some feedback. So when you put it into the team, you know what you're going to get out of it.
That's so interesting when you said you've tested it out. So in that regards, in our industry, there's a lot of research that we can draw on that potentially validates some protocols or types of exercise. But often it's said that the athletes and the strength and conditioning coaches who are doing it every day are maybe 1 or 2 Olympic cycles ahead of the research. What would you say to that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think research is, I did my PhD a long time ago, and it taught me how to interpret and decipher research and actually get the takeaways out of it that actually are real life and can be applied in the real world. And I think that's often we'll be doing things, and a classic example would be cold water immersion. Okay, so now it's become mainstream in the public. Everyone's jumping in ice baths because it's so good for you. And we've been doing ice baths in rugby. I have been for 24 years. Like it's sort of, and we were doing it before we even had data to suggest that it was positive. So no, I agree with you. A lot of things happen at the coalface before they happen in the lab. So you do need to trial things at the coalface rather than wait for the data to come through. So I don't experiment much on the All Blacks. I experiment with other people.
Fair enough. There's your lab, mate. So,
Yeah, man.
Which is actually interesting. So if I go back to Nic Gill 17, 18 years ago when you first started with the All Blacks compared to Nic now, what would be the greatest differences with you as a strength and conditioning coach?
Well, I was a sports scientist first, so I did a PhD, collect lots of data. Everything I did was about numbers. As an S&C coach, I was trying to chase numbers, so I was trying to almost prove my worth. So I was trying to get people as strong as I've ever been. I was trying to get people as fit as I've ever been, and I thought that was me being good and successful. Whereas now, it's quite the opposite. I don't chase a number. Don't get me wrong, I love people getting a personal best, but it's not what my program's all about. The program's all about being the best they can be on Saturday out on the field, and a big part of that's been healthy and not injured. So when I reflect on when I started, I helped athletes get really strong and really fit, but they weren't very durable. There was lots of injuries that came along with that. Whereas now I sort of feel like my philosophies, our philosophies, and our methodologies are such that we still get great numbers, we still get personal bests, but they are secondary to being healthy and performing in the weekend.